to the Fat Girl Friday Show. Today's episode is on how to overcome overwhelm and stress. Lauren and I have some great tips for you if you ever feel like you get stressed out or overwhelmed and it affects your health or anything in your life. Then today's episode is going to be one you won't want to miss. So, I'm Steph. I'm a certified health coach, personal trainer, mindset and emotional breakthrough expert, and I was trying to come up with like a good thing to say. Like last week you were like, and bad bitch. And I got nothing. Bitch too. No, I wanted something unique. And it's so good. That like made my week. I laughed so hard.
I'm Lauren Clayton. I'm an integrative health practitioner, health coach, certified yoga teacher, and I have a master's in psychology. And I like to integrate psychology and nutrition to help people heal and live their optimum life to the fullest. And together we are Fat Girl Fitness, and the FATT stands for psychology, health, attitude training, and transformation. Yeah. So today we're talking about overcoming stress and overwhelm, and I feel like this comes up in the spring. It's just all this flurry of things going on, and people are just kind of waking up in a hibernation and
like bears.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a lot of
hungry.
Shit to do
After hibernation.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago we were saying that spring is a renewal time, and with that comes a lot of shedding the skin and having to do new things, because when you leave something that's no longer you or your behavior or whatever, you create something new. So a lot of times when we ask for things, we get it and it's oh shit, okay, now what to do? So, and I feel like you've been experiencing that this week as well.
Oh,
right?
so much. Yeah, I posted on my page today that I felt like I woke up in an Alanis Morissette song. Everything, there's just everything that could possibly not work, and everything I was doing was happening. And I allowed myself to feel like a failure for a minute. I allowed myself to feel overwhelmed. I allowed myself to feel super stressed out. And I've had a lot of that actually happening this week. So it is a sign to me that a big change is coming through. A lot of shedding of old stuff and bringing in new up-leveled things. But the thing that I did was I didn't allow myself to stay there for very long.
Right.
Yes, I did allow myself to feel like a failure. Yes, I did allow myself to experience my emotions, but I didn't allow it to overtake my whole day. It didn't allow it to overtake my whole week, my whole month. In the past, I used to let it overtake, probably a good week. A week of just getting rocked and being why did that happen? I must not be doing things right. Just all the thoughts and beliefs that you go over in your head that are negative and very limiting. So it was really nice to have the tools and techniques at this point in my life to see what was happening and just be I know how to get to a happy place again. I know how to make life fun again. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and that's, getting into our first strategy, that's definitely one of them, and it's a skill. It's like building a muscle almost, because it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. And I could take...
That's a great phrase. I'm going to make a quote out of that. I'm going to make a meme.
But yeah, it's so important, and there's things that happen to me now where I'm just I would have reacted and freaked out and just been a totally different, I would have had a totally different reaction to it. And now I'm just kind of okay. And it's reading books like Letting Go and these things about we talk about law of attraction a lot of times, and it's kind of okay, how you feel and think about things is so important. What you feel and think is literally broadcasting out to the world, and then you get it back. So it's really important to just feel upbeat and happy and positive as often as possible, because that comes back to you, or abundant, or whatever it is that you are wanting. It's important to come back to that state. And really our natural state is these high vibrational states like love, abundance, and sorry, I think it's rocking because it's Monday. That is where we are supposed to be, in those natural, abundant, loving, joy states. So just resetting back to there. And it could be, we all have even stupid thoughts that come up that aren't you, by the way, but they just come in and they try to tell, no, you need to worry about this, you need to blah, 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 on top of all the other shit you got going on. You really don't have time to listen to that voice. I'll tell you one thing right now, you ain't got time for all that. Okay, that's one thing you do not have time for, is to listen to this ego mind or the monkey mind, as it's called in Buddhism. And once you learn to separate from that, you realize that it's truly not you. It's like old programming. It's other people's programs and insecurities. It has nothing to do with you. And when you separate that from that more, I mean, for me, when I really started to separate it, the first thing that came in was like a lot more money and luxury and just like a deep, deep sense of peace, which is just so important and really priceless. So making a conscious decision to separate from the thoughts, from the emotions. So when you feel the stress and overwhelm, like, oh my God, I have so much to do right now, fine. It's fine. Totally let it go. You have a lot to do. It has to get done either way. So you could freak out about it and give it freak out energy and make the whole process worse and add like delays to things. Or you could be like, I trust like that everything is gonna work out. When I start to get like that, I'm like, I'm in flow, I'm in flow, I'm in harmony. I say I'm in harmony with the universe, like I'll just repeat it. So I stay in that space because I was telling Steph the other day, like when I relax more, like I could just receive whatever it is I want. When I just chill the fuck out, everything just falls into place.
It's big. Yeah, one of the things that really sticks out for me and helps me when I'm in a moment like that is really just seeing that being in that bad place is pushing things further away. That's something I didn't have an awareness of before. So in my mind, I'm like feeling bad. I'm feeling like, why are all these things happening? Why isn't anything clicking or why isn't anything working? All of a sudden I have this thought pop up and it's like, the longer that you stay here in this why game and like poor me game, the more you push the things you want away from you. So I start thinking about that and I'm like, oh my gosh. When you have that awareness and you know with the certainty in you that the longer you stay upset and allow it to take over your life and your emotions and everything, the longer you stay there, the more you push away the things you actually want. And when that's occurring in my brain, I'm like, oh, I don't want to push it away. And so I'm like, what can I do to get out of this state? And I start to seek and search and look for the things, and then they start to come to me. I have my couple little tricks that I like to do. And one is like, it's so simple, but it's actually just caffeine. And that's like my thing. I don't think that that's the thing for everybody, but I know that in an instant, if I need to shift myself, I just have some espresso or like a nice coffee drink that I like to have. And it's just this emotion, and I know that it to me it's a link, and you can link anything to it, honestly. So the link for me is like, I get one of those and I immediately feel like, all right, cool, I'm shifting back into happy place. And then with that momentum, more happy place thoughts come in, and then I'm like, you know what, things aren't so bad. I start to talk to somebody, we have a great conversation and a connection, and then it's like, oh, the world is actually great, you know. And then all these good things start to come again. Things that weren't working, you get an email and it's like exactly what you needed or exactly what you're looking for. It ends up being better than you thought it was. That's how it works. It's a positive momentum, and once you get on that path, whatever the thing is for you, and I highly suggest link like your like happy quick triggers. Make them something that's like good for you and healthy for you. Another one that I have is going outside. In nature. I don't care if it's raining, I don't care if it's snowing, I don't care if it's beautiful and sunny. Just get outside. Once I get myself outside, I'm immediately out of this place.
Like walking around a little bit.
Yeah, maybe walk my cat.
Yeah, walk your cat, which Steph does around the neighborhood.
I did that this morning, and then he did like all this silly stuff, and I was just like, I can't be upset. This is adorable.
Yeah, it was. And then, so yeah, it's about state change. So basically, and whatever works for you. If caffeine works for you, I mean, I don't think, so like, I don't have any problems with caffeine or coffee, especially. I love me some coffee. But you also, it's a fine line. Like, you don't want it to get into like, well, now I feel like if I eat a whole chocolate cake, it's really gonna serve. I'm gonna feel bad. So you don't want to go there.
I'm glad you pointed that
because
out.
I mean, I've done that with.
I used to do that.
I've done that with drinking sometimes, or definitely with food. It's like I'm gonna fuck up this entire box of chocolates, and it'll be all good. And that is a way to mask things. I do want to make the like very clear distinction between that. Like a little shot of espresso, get you back on track, like, you know, that's one thing, but we don't want to go into any like malignant behaviors or things that we're trying to curtail.
Yeah, try and pick something that really does serve you or makes you better. Like being out in nature is like, you can't do anything but get better from that.
Yeah, and then I think being in nature makes you more present, you know, because you're feeling the sun on your skin and the temperature and like the wind and what's going on, and so it kind of really brings you into the present moment, which is what this is all about, because you're all up in your head and then you're creating these scenarios that haven't even happened. And so what you want to do is come back to this present moment that you're at and live in that space, because that's where the magic and the power happens, and it won't bring you into these places of fear, doubt, worry, because if you're there, you're going to create that for yourself. If you can be happy and calm, you're going to create happy, calm results for yourself, and that's super important. One of my things is to move. Like, I love to actually, even if it's just, sometimes I'll just do jump squats, because it just really like shakes up your energy. You know, if I'm sitting, working for a long time at the computer, I'll do that. Or if I always prioritize making time for the gym. I usually get up in the morning and have like a little morning ritual that I do, but right after that I'm off to work out, and it just sets my day in a positive motion, motion that can just like, I just really need that positive momentum, and it works very well for me. But it doesn't have to be, it could just be like a little bit of movement, jumping up and down, doing some, whatever works for you. And then you also have this thing like, oh, I exercised a little today, so, and that makes you feel good too.
Yeah.
But the reason why one of the reasons why exercise works so well is because you're changing your breathing. You have to take these deeper breaths, and I think a lot of times to be more conscious of your breath. So even if you decide to not make time to work out, if you are at your computer, or if you wake up in the middle of the night with stress and overwhelm, changing your breathing patterns, because when we're anxious, we're breathing really up here in our chest, and it's constricted. So if you could just fill your chest up and like drop the breath down, and really make a conscious effort, just even for a minute, to breathe slowly and not notice or think about anything but your breath, you will literally change your state. You'll change your energy, and you're bringing all those stress hormones down and out of your body.
See. The other thing too is, because you're in your head, the best way is to get your mind in a different place. So sometimes if that means hearing something else that's positive, because you are at your core positive, loving, and abundant, but if you need a quick reminder, maybe have specific audiobooks on hand. Maybe have a book on hand. For example, this I read last night. It's a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. And
love him.
It really just changed my perspective. You know, I saw it sitting on the floor, and I was like, I'm just gonna pick that up and read it a little bit. And this is a book that really talks about your mindset and your thoughts and your beliefs and like what your mind is. So, you know, reading it, I just immediately was like, oh wow, you know, shift. So, and having little things like that is good.
That book, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer, is also about this monkey mind that's always about anything, making comments about stupid shit that doesn't even, you have to worry about all, it's just, it will not stop. It's the mental chatter that, you know, we permit to go on our mind. But the thing is that you can control it, and you can separate from it.
Yes,
and when you do, it's like, you're in the present moment, because all this chatter isn't there, and it's almost like everything is, you know, in HD, or you know, when in The Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy goes from wherever and then she goes into Oz, it's like black and white to like this HD Technicolor, whatever. That's how it feels, because it's like everything is so much more vibrant, because you're not like, you know, just have this like cloud in your head.
Yeah.
So it's so, and that's how we're supposed to live as human beings, and like not in this state of suffering constantly. Actually, I was listening to this in my car.
Oh, cool.
And he, in one of the chapters, he talks about, he's like, we don't even know what it's like to not be like tormented by our mind.
Yeah.
And he's like, because that's why the Buddhists call it like we're in this state of suffering all the time.
Oh.
And then it's like we're living like, he's drawing an analogy. He's like we're like super like sick people that can barely like get out of bed to like get basic needs, and then we have to go back to bed because we're sick, and like just like a nation of people like that, and we think that's our natural state, to be that sick. And so a lot of us that live in our minds, it's like it's really, really damaging and suffering, and not doing, like we could just be so much more healthy and really optimize our life on every front, health, wealth, relationships, everything spiritually, when we get out of that monkey mind, you know, mental chatter space.
Yeah, this book, the one thing he says is that if you were to listen to, if you were to give your mind a separate being that your mind is and listen to it talk to you, the things that you're thinking in your head, you would be like, this is a crazy person and they need to be institutionalized. Like, they're legitimately crazy. But these thoughts play in our head and we think it's normal. It's not. Normal state and a blissful state is just being at peace, and that is what we want to be seeking, and that's how abundance flows to us. Every episode that Lauren and I do, we talk about abundance and being in a good state. We're not telling you to be in a good state because we're like, woo-woo, hippie, just like, you know, be in a good state and everything's all good. When you're in a good state, you literally draw the things you want to you. Whether it's your health, like she just said, your health, your relationships, your finances, your career, your lifestyle, everything that you want is either coming to you or getting pushed away, depending on your emotions or your mood. So you want everything you want to be coming to you, and you want to keep it coming to you by looking for the gifts, the blessings, the gratitude, the things that we're appreciative of. You have a million things to be grateful for. Don't forget that, you know, and you can just start basic. You don't have to be like, well, I don't have this yet and I want it. You just go,
No, that's a state of lack.
right, you just go, I have a car, I have a bed, I have a home, I have food to eat, I have shoes on my feet, and you're just like, all right, cool, I'm good. So it's all about being in that state of just knowing what you have and being grateful for it, and things flow from that place.
Yes. Yeah, always being in a state of abundance and more than enough and not in scarcity. All this comes down to, if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, you are in a state of scarcity. And so, because you're feeling like you're not enough, there's not enough resources, there's a lack in one or many areas.
You don't have faith.
Yeah, and you don't have like faith in just like everything being in flow, as I call it, and everything kind of just working out. But like, yeah, boom,
Like that.
So, I mean, there's so many things, like even just like little things that I wanted, I'd be like, okay, well, I get to have this, and it will show right up in like the weirdest ways. So, just being in that space of letting things flow, so everything can come to you. If you're watching this later, by the way, and have questions, sorry, that truck is very loud. So if you are watching this later and have questions, don't feel free to type them in and we will answer them. By the way, we're at Hop Dotty. They have really good burgers here, and so we're like gonna have burgers and fries. We're like, so typically we have food on the show, but I'm like not down for my burger to get cold because I will fuck up my burger, and I'm not trying to like talk about stress and overwhelm with like like a mouthful of burger.
Lauren can concentrate on this, but she's concentrating on this.
Well, and I do like to be as present as possible.
Present.
Especially when I'm eating or anything
I
that
feel
I'm
you
doing.
on that.
So.
We're really big proponents of eating slow, enjoying your food, tasting every bite, and a lot of times if you're like watching TV or watching a show or talking to somebody or whatever, filming an episode of Fat Girl Friday, you can't quite give all the energy and attention to your food that it deserves. It does deserve love and respect because it's nourishing your vehicle that's going to drive you to your purpose. So,
Absolutely.
very worth it. So, a couple things. If you are new to the show, make sure you subscribe to our Fat Girl Fitness family page with the PH. It's a private group. We post exclusive stuff there. And we also have an Instagram that is loaded up with good memes, thanks to Lauren.
Some good ones coming too.
Oh, she's always brainstorming the memes. And then on YouTube, you can watch any of our episodes that we've previously filmed. So check that out, subscribe there, and thank you so much for watching. Please comment below and let us know what was helpful. Let us know if you have questions. Let us know what your things are that you use to overcome stress and overwhelm.
And sorry for squinting, it's just like windy up in this bitch. And I'm like, alright. Okay, well, have an amazing weekend. Know that everything you think and are feeling, you are creating for yourself in that moment and in the future. So think positive, happy, high vibrational thoughts. And we will see you next Friday. Have an amazing weekend.